back to my channel. I am back with another Baddies Africa review, so let's just get right into it because a lot went down in this episode. So a fun night of playing Baddie Shot O'Clock ended up turning into complete chaos when Lex and Scotty ended up getting into it. Now the reason why they started having this back and forth in the first place is because Scotty started telling Lex that she did the wrong thing by aligning herself with Dolly and Summer, and basically told Lex that she picked the wrong friends, and Lex obviously had an issue with it, and I can understand why Lex had an issue with it, and it's because why are you telling her who she can and can't be friends with? Like, I just feel like that's so weird that everybody cares who this girl is friends with. I mean, what is she supposed to do? End her friendships with Dolly and Summer just because everybody else wants her to? That doesn't really make any sense to me. I mean, why is it a big deal who she decides to align herself with? And then they started going back and forth some more because Natalie ended up asking one of the questions on the Baddie Shot O'Clock card, and the question was, who is your least favorite baddie? And Lex named a few people, and then she named Scotty as her least favorite baddie as well, and Scotty had an issue with it because obviously she doesn't want Lex saying her name, and so they start going back and forth, and Scotty says that Lex is her least favorite baddie too. So they start arguing with each other, and they're both standing up at this point. I thought it was a stupid reason for the two of them to be arguing because at the end of the day, we know they don't like each other, so obviously they would be one of each other's least favorite baddies, so it wasn't surprising to me that they named each other. I didn't think it was anything for them to argue about though. But Cold Killer gets up and she stands next to Scotty and she's saying some stuff, so Summer gets up and she stands next to Lex to even the playing field, and it looked like Summer was trying to swing at Scotty, but then Cold Killer got involved, and then Cold Killer and Summer started fighting with each other. In this first fight, they weren't doing anything with each other, okay? They were just swinging at the air, literally swinging at the air. And while they were swinging at the air, all of a sudden Summer ends up falling into the bush, which I thought was funny because, I mean, it would be Summer falling into a bush during a fight, but they didn't do anything with each other in that round, so I don't understand why Cold Killer was in her confessional making all these sound effects, acting like she really beat up Summer, and she tried to say that she was the one that threw Summer into the bush. And if you watch it in slow motion, actually Summer fell on her own. It had nothing to do with Cold Killer. Now Cold Killer and Summer end up fighting another round, and this time Summer actually gets her because I feel like Cold Killer can't fight because she fights with her head down and she just swings blindly and she turns her head the other way. It's like, girl, fight the right way. Keep your damn head up. But she was losing the fight to Summer, and it's not surprising because Summer has been whooping her all throughout the season, and Summer's not even a good fighter. Now, Natalie was definitely doing her job in this episode because she was trying to keep the drama going because she ends up asking Elsie how she feels about being named as some people's least favorite baddies and why people called her a flip-flopper, and basically Elsie said that she did not care what anybody thought of her and that whoever has a problem with her can kiss her ass, and Rollie obviously felt some type of way about that because she was the only one that named Elsie as her least favorite baddie, and she called her a flip-flopper, which I was honestly confused about because I honestly don't feel like Elsie is a flip-flopper. Like, I think it's fine for Elsie to not be Rollie's favorite because we know that she spent more time with Elsie than we saw on the screen, but I don't feel like Elsie was a flip-flopper, and I feel like she's saying Elsie is a flip-flopper because of the whole Tavy situation, but I felt like Tavy was a flip-flopper in that situation and not Elsie. So Rollie ends up asking Elsie who she's telling to kiss her ass because obviously she's referring to Rollie because Rollie is the only person that named her as her least favorite baddie. So I have to give it to Elsie. Even though she can't fight, she still talked her shit when it came to Rollie because she told Rollie that she could kiss her ass if she wants to, and I thought that was so funny because we know that Elsie can't fight, but it's like the fact that she was able to be bold enough to say this to Rollie was funny to me. So Rollie basically calls out Elsie, and Elsie gets up out of her seat and she stands right next to Rollie, which I was honestly surprised about, and Rollie touched her hands and she said that Elsie was shaking, but Elsie said that she was not shaking and that she was not scared. And Rollie did say that she felt bad and that she didn't want to put her hands on Elsie because she knows that Elsie can't fight, but she ended up slapping the shit out of Elsie, okay? I feel like Elsie shouldn't have went over to where Rollie was if she wasn't going to be prepared because Rollie slapped the shit out of her. Lex and Scotty start going back and forth with each other again, and Lex ends up asking Scotty if she has a problem with her, and Scotty tells Lex to keep her name out of her mouth, and I know people are going to come in my comment section and be mad and say that I'm defending Lex and I'm being a fan of Lex, but at the end of the day, Scotty mentioned Lex first because she got involved in Lex's business. Once again, like she did a couple of times this season already, she was the one who mentioned Lex first by bringing up who she's friends with, and she should have minded her business because why does Scotty care who Lex is friends with? So Scotty actually mentioned Lex's name first, but Lex kept saying Scotty's name over and over again because Scotty told her to keep her name out of her mouth. And so Scotty said, "What do you want to do about it?" Like, to Lex. And I was confused. I was like, oh, Scotty's getting really bold right now when it comes to Lex. And Lex was playing with Scotty a little bit because I don't think that she thought that they were actually going to end up fighting with each other, but she was kind of boasting up at her a little bit, trying to scare her and make her flinch a little bit. And Scotty was getting her leg prepared to kick, and Lex made sure to let Scotty know, hey, I know you're going to throw a kick because that's what you're going to do, so be careful if you throw a kick at me. So eventually they do get into a scuffle, and the reason why I'm saying it's a scuffle is because this first round between the two of them was definitely not a fight. They barely touched each other. Lex swung a couple of times, but she missed, and Scotty swung a couple of times and she missed. Scotty did land one hit though. It was an open hand hit to Lex's face. She kind of mushed Lex a little bit. It wasn't like a slap or a punch, but Scotty did mush Lex at some point in the face with a little bit of force. So I'm not gonna say that Scotty didn't land anything. She did land that mush in Lex's face, and then she threw a kick and Lex caught her foot, okay? Lex caught the kick, so Lex never got kicked by Scotty because she caught it. And you know, Scotty's shoe came off. Lex threw the shoe and it landed in the fire. I was like, holy shit, she just threw this girl's shoe in the fire. But Lex said it was an accident. She didn't mean to throw it in the fire. So I felt like this scuffle, because it was a scuffle, it was not a fight, was a little bit overhyped by fans who wanted to see Scotty beat up Lex. That didn't happen. She did catch Lex in the face one time when she swung, but it was with an open hand. I'm going to give her the fact that she did catch her in the face, but other than that, she didn't do anything, and neither did Lex in that first round. Neither one of them did anything. And I know somebody's going to come in my comment section and be mad because I'm not dragging Lex, because somebody did in my review for last week's episode said that I must be a fan of the big three because I wasn't dragging them in my review. I do say they're wrong when I feel like they're wrong, but in this situation, I don't feel like Lex was wrong because Scotty was the one that, you know, addressed Lex first. She's the one who told her that she picked the wrong friends and was getting involved in her business. So if you don't want Lex to address you, why do you keep addressing her? So that's why I didn't say that Lex was wrong, because Scotty was the one that said something to Lex first. Scotty and Lex do end up fighting another round with each other, and this time Lex was definitely preparing for another kick for Scotty to throw. Scotty didn't end up throwing another kick, but Lex just started quick swinging on Scotty, and Scotty did block some of the hits that Lex was throwing at her. You know, Lex wasn't going to be able to really take off on Scotty because security definitely got in there and broke that fight up immediately. And what was up with the camera angle? Like, they were switching around the way that they edited this fight. It was kind of weird to me. It looked like they wanted to make it seem like Lex wasn't able to really hit Scotty. And I mean, we know that nobody's really going to get to fight Scotty the way that they want to because security and Lemmy are not going to allow that to happen, but they definitely did something with the camera angle and the way that they were filming this, the same way they did when Scotty fought Emma last season. So they were definitely doing some stuff with the editing, but even if they didn't edit it, we know that, you know, Lex wasn't going to be able to whoop Scotty the way that she ends up whooping Tavy in this episode because Lemmy and production was not about to allow that to happen. Scotty did start crying after the fight with Lex. I don't think it's because, you know, she was getting hit. I just think that she doesn't like to fight, and that's fine if she doesn't like to fight, but if she doesn't like to fight, she should probably be quiet and stop addressing somebody that doesn't have a problem getting up and fighting if she doesn't want to have to fight. And I feel like fans baby Scotty a little bit too much. Like, she's a grown woman, she's not a baby. Please stop acting like she's an innocent child. She's not. She's on a show for fighting, and she's fought damn near every single season of the show. Stop acting like she's a baby who's just learning how to defend herself when she's defended herself before on the show. So I'm confused as to why she's being babied so much. But when Scotty is kind of crying after her fight gets broken up with Lex, Tavy starts getting involved, saying that Lex fought Scotty for no reason. And it's like, girl, Tavy, please be quiet because you're about to get beat up too. I just don't understand why Tavy is inserting herself in stuff that has to do with Lex, but then saying that Lex wants to fight her for no reason. You're inserting yourself in her business. Tavy did not have to get involved in this situation between Scotty and Lex. She should have stayed out of it. They start going back and forth, yelling at each other about the fight that they had on the Sprinter on their way to the new house. And look, I do feel like Lex didn't have a reason to be yelling at Tavy, because even if Tavy was being two-faced to some of the girls, that wasn't necessarily Lex's place to get involved. But Tavy does have to admit that she did hit Lex first, so it's not like Lex just beat her up for no reason. You hit her in the face, so obviously she's just gonna take off on you when you hit her. But I really didn't see the point in Tavy involving herself in the beef that Scotty and Lex had with each other. She should have just completely stayed out of it, and that's why I say I feel like Tavy wants to be seen. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because for the show, you should want to be seen and you should want to make your presence known every single episode. But in this particular scene, I just felt like she was doing too much. Tavy starts arguing with Lex and saying that Lex wants to eat her, and I thought that was funny because I just don't think that that's the case. I don't think that Lex is into Tavy at all. And I thought it was funny that Dolly said that Lex is a pillow princess. She just lays back and she doesn't do any of the work. I thought that was funny, and Lex was agreeing with it, so I guess she is a pillow princess, but I thought that was funny. Dolly's little side comments in this episode were definitely entertaining to me. Then Tavy started saying that Lex has a foot fetish. She was just saying all this stuff that had nothing to do with her issue with Lex. I was so confused about what she was even talking about. So I was so glad when Diamond decided to interject and she decided to address Choco. She ended up asking Choco who she was referring to when she said that she wanted to fight somebody, and Choco said she was referring to Diamond. So the two of them stand up to fight each other, and look, before the fight, Ivory starts whispering things in Diamond's ear, basically trying to coach her, and then Diamond and Choco start fighting with each other, and look, neither one of them really did anything in this fight. I don't even know if you can call this a fight or a scuffle with each other. I will give it to Choco that she did swing a couple of times. She didn't really catch Diamond that much though, because Diamond kept her hands up to block herself from getting hit. But Ivory yelling in the background, I feel like it definitely distracts Diamond whenever she's trying to fight. I feel like Ivory tries to coach, but it doesn't always go in her favor. So I think she needs to be quiet when people are fighting, because when she's yelling at Diamond, telling her what to do in the middle of a fight, it seems like Diamond is getting distracted and she can't do what she's supposed to do in the fight. She ends up falling into a bush, and Choco did get a couple of hits in on Diamond, so I feel like Ivory's coaching really didn't benefit Diamond at all. Then K Rican comes out of nowhere and she throws a drink at Summer, and then all of a sudden the two of them start fighting with each other, and obviously Summer won both rounds that she fought with K Rican. K Rican cannot fight at all. I do respect the fact that she'll get out there even if she loses, but she fights with her head down and she swings blindly, and Summer keeps her head up while she's swinging, so she definitely won both rounds with K Rican. Although K Rican seems to be very delusional like Cold Killer, and got in her confessional and made it seem like she whooped Summer when she didn't. So after that fight is broken up, all of a sudden Tavy ends up asking Lex if she wants to fight, so Lex tells her let's fight, and the two of them square up with each other. Lex pops Tavy in the face, and then the two of them kind of start pushing and pulling and tugging on each other a little bit, and Lex ends up wrapping her arm around, Tavy's neck, and she drops Tavy to the floor, and she starts hitting Tavy while Tavy is on the floor. Tavy does end up getting up really quickly though, and she's holding Lex by the hair, but Lex definitely dropped her on the floor. So I was confused as to why Tavy got in her confessional and she lied and said that she dropped Lex on the floor, because that's not what I saw, and I watched the fight in slow motion. They end up fighting another round, and this time Lex just starts taking off on Tavy. Tavy does block some of Lex's hits. Like, Lex doesn't land all of her hits, but the ones that do land, they do stick. And they're holding on to each other. At one point, Tavy loses her balance and she starts slipping on the grass. I don't know if the grass was slippery, but she slips, and Lex takes full advantage of that slip, and she starts knocking Tavy in her damn head until Tavy gets up. Tavy gets up, and the two of them start pushing and pulling on each other. They bang into this thing that's outside. It's like this big round thing that was outside. They banged into that, and then they were holding on to each other, and they ended up falling on the floor. Lex was holding on to Tavy, and she was hitting her a little bit. Tavy tried to kick Lex while Lex was on the floor, but Lex grabbed her leg, and then Lex took her leg and she put them up towards Tavy so that she can kick her. At one point, Tavy did try to bite Lex, but Lex stopped her and security pulled Tavy away. But that was a crazy fight. When Tavy got up off that floor and I saw what her face looked like, I was in complete shock, okay? I know her face was already kind of messed up from the last fight that she had with Lex, but her face got re-messed up all over again. Her eye was low, her eye was black, she had a big knot on her eyebrow, and then her eyebrow was cut open and bleeding, and then her mouth was bleeding. She looked crazy. Her face was swollen the hell up. I will give it to her that she gets in there even if she loses, but she definitely did not win this fight. I will say she did better this time than she did in the first fight that her and Lex had on the Sprinter, but she still did not win this fight against Lex. Natalie starts telling the girls that they have a club booking, so everybody needs to go get ready, and Lex was not trying to go get ready. She was still trying to fight Tavy again, but Tavy was saying that she was having an asthma attack, so she had to take her pump. Lex felt like Tavy was basically cop and please, like she was trying to use her having asthma as an excuse not to fight, and so she was still trying to go at the girl. I didn't think it was necessary for Lex to try to go at Tavy again because of the fact that Tavy already got beat up. Like, what more can she do to the girl? I kind of feel like Diamond wanted Tavy to get beat up again, though, because the way that she was hyping up Tavy was getting hype all over again, and she started yelling stuff out really loudly so that Lex could hear her, and it was almost like she was trying to stir up some more drama between them, because the more Diamond gassed her head up, the more she started yelling stuff out to Lex. I will say I did think it was funny when Dolly was yelling that she felt like Tavy peed on herself, because Tavy had wetness all between her legs and on the back of her butt, and it did look like she peed on herself. Like, it literally looked like she peed on herself. Tavy's claiming that it wasn't pee and that she put water on herself, but Dolly yelling it out like that and calling her pissy, I'm sorry, that was funny to me. This part was really random to me, but all of a sudden we see Fauna and K. Rican yelling at Russian Cream, and Russian Cream is outside laughing about them yelling at her. Apparently Russian Cream walked past their room and she started laughing, and they felt some type of way about that, so they were both yelling at her outside. K. Rican was trying to fight Russian Cream, but Fauna wasn't trying to fight her. She was just letting her know that if you're on injured reserved and nobody can touch you, why should you be able to talk shit? And I agree with that, because I said the same thing about Anna a few seasons ago when she was on injured reserved, but she kept talking shit to people. If people can't touch you and you can't get in the paint, you should probably be quiet until you heal up. So I understood where Fauna was coming from with that, but I thought it was disgusting that K. Rican tried to spit at Russian Cream. Like, that's gross. Keep your spit in your damn mouth. Stop spitting at people. Like, that was just gross to me. Everybody goes to the club and they're having a good time, but Lex is drunk, okay? And she's on the microphone while Diamond is performing her song. Diamond was performing a fight song. Lex was on the microphone singing the song really aggressively, and she was looking in the direction of Fauna and some of the other girls, and she was kind of pointing at Fauna a little bit, so Fauna felt some type of way about it, and she kind of knocked the microphone out of Lex's hand, so we know that they're going to end up getting into it at the club. I will say that Lex was doing too much in the club. I don't think that she should have been pointing at Fauna, especially because in that moment, nothing happened between the two of them, so I don't think it was necessary for her to kind of pick a fight at the club. I will say, though, in the preview for next week's episode, it looks like Fauna and Diamond the Body start fighting with each other. I'm definitely confused about that. I definitely want to see how that ended up happening. But those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies Africa. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.